रामानुजदया पात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकं लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये। मातापिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मदन्वयानाम् आद्यस्य नः कुलपतेर्वकुलाभिरामं श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूर्ध्ना। भूतं शरस्य महदाह्वय भट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसार कुलशेखरयोगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेणुपरकालयतीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम्। कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलं। वाल्मीकिर्मुनिसिंहस्य कवितावनचारिणः शृण्वन् रामकथानाथं को न याति परां गतिम्। वेदवेद्ये परे पुंसि जाते दशरथात्मजे वेदः प्राचेतसादासीत् साक्षात् रामायणात्मना। अञ्जनानन्दनं वीरं जानकीशोकनाशनं कपीशमक्षहन्तारं वन्दे लङ्काभयङ्करम्। मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूतमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि। आञ्जनेयमदिपाठलाननं काञ्चनाद्रिकमनीयविग्रहं पारिजाततरुमूलवासिनं भावयामि रघुरामनन्दनम्। यत्र यत्र रघुनाथकीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं बाष्पवारि परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमः राक्षसान्तकम्। यत्र यत्र रघुनाथकीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं बाष्पवारि परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमः राक्षसान्तकम्। अग्रतः प्रययौ रामः सीता मध्ये सुमध्यमा पृष्ठतस्तु धनुष्पाणिर्लक्ष्मणो अनुजगामः। In Pranavam, we have Akara, Ukaram and Makaram. These are the three syllables. Akaraha, Ukaraha, Makaraha. A, U, Ma. All these three syllables get together to make Pranavam, which is Om. In Aranya Kandam, Valmiki Bhagavan compares the trio, that is Ram, Sita and Lakshman, to the Pranavam. He says, Agrataf prayayau Ramaha Sita madhye sumadhyama prishtatastu dhanushpanir Lakshmano anujagamaha. Agrataha prayayau Ramaha. Who walked in the first? Ram. Agrataha. He was equivalent to Akaram. Sita madhye sumadhyama. She walked in the middle. Then came Lakshmana, who was like Makaram. Prishtatastu dhanushpane Lakshmano anujagamaha. But the letter Ha in Sanskrit is used to declare something like an exclamatory mark. Whenever we say something like what a beautiful picture, we put an exclamatory mark. Likewise, in Sanskrit, to put an exclamatory mark, they say Ha. What is so surprising to Valmiki when all the three walked? Because the first person who walked was Ram. Ram represented the Paramatma. Then walked Sita, and finally Lakshmana. Lakshmana was the Jivatma, the human soul, whereas Ram was the Paramatma, the supreme soul. Now, one is Swatantran and the other one is Paratantran. In Sanskrit you called as Swatantraha and the other is called as Paratantraha. Who is a Swatantraha? Somebody who is independent. Who is the one who is independent? In Srimad Bhagavatam it is said that Bhagavan is Swatantraha. That means he can sustain, he can be there, or he can exist even without existence. That is, even without this world, even without the solar system, even without the universe, Paramatma can exist. So he is independent. Whereas we are all the human souls who are dependents. We are all Paratantraha. We are not Swatantra people. People should not confuse this between independence, Swatantrata din, and Swatantraha. We might have got independence. The country might have got independence. The nation might have got independence. But no human soul is independent. Had we been independent, we should live without water for 10 days. We should live without food for 30 days. We should live without our parents' right since our birth for every minute. And we should live without people, and we should be sitting on a desert without food, water, air. Can we ever be like that? We need food. We need air, we need water. So we are dependent on some source of the nature in some way or the other. Whereas Bhagavan is not so dependent. So Paramatma is Swatantraha, whereas Jivatma is a Paratantraha. Paratantraha means it is a dependent. It depends on someone. But though Paramatma, though Bhagavan is a Swatantraha, in Sri Bhashyam, which is the beautiful commentary which Swami Ramanujacharya had written for the Brahma Sutras by Vedavyasa, the Mangala Shlokam itself, he says, Akhila Bhuvana Janma Sthema Bhanga Adi Lile Vinada Vivita Bhuta Vratarakshayika Dikshe Shruti Shirasi Vidipte Brahmani Srinivase Bhavatu Mama Parasmin Shemushi Bhakti Rupa. So he says, Akhila Bhuvana Janma Sthema Bhanga Adi Lile. The one who creates, sustains, that is protects, and destroys it and brings it to destruction is Paramatma. Akhila Bhuvana Janma Janma Sthema Bhanga Adi Lile. Look at the word he has put. Lile. Leela means a play. So when he said the word or used the word Leela, though Bhagavan, that is Paramatma, is a Swatantraha, though he is independent, he doesn't need air, food or water, anything for sustenance. He doesn't need any world or any universe for existence. But comes the question, why has he created? If he does not need air, if he does not need water, if he does not need food, if he does not need shelter, then what is the use? What is the reason for creation? The reason for creation is he had to play. So as a play, he has created this universe. But though he has created this as a play, for example, we all know that cricket is a game. Nobody calls cricket is seriousness. The word that they use is cricket is a game. Let it be a sport or a game. When you say the word game, everything should be taken sportively. But though people in the stadium know this is a game, though people know that people who are going and playing there on the field are some other kind of people in their normal lives, they have just gone to the field to play, but once they get into the field, they take the game also seriously. Just because a person has hit a 4 and the other person doesn't like it, he cannot declare that this is not a 4. Though this is a game, every rule of it is taken seriously. Likewise, Bhagavan is Swatantraha. He is an independent person. He does not need anything for sustenance. He does not need anything for existence. Yet, For his satisfaction, he has created this entire universe as a game. Leelaya. Akhila Bhuvana Janmasthema Bhanga Adi Leele. But though he has created this entire universe as a game, he has filled the entire universe with Atma. Each Atma is different. When I say each Atma is different, it doesn't mean the Atma of an elephant will be the size of an elephant and the Atma of an ant will be the size of an ant. Nothing like that. Atma is of only one size. It can neither grow, neither can it become small. It doesn't need water or food. But once it gets inside a living body, for example an Atma, if it gets inside an elephant's body, the elephant is living. The same Atma, if it gets inside the body of a little ant, it starts living. The same Atma, if it gets inside the body of a lion, the lion is living and breathing. The same Atma, if it enters the human soul, we are talking like how I am talking and people who have gathered here are listening. So, when we say that Jivatma is a soul which has entered a body and that body is living because of the entry of the Paramatma inside it, we should also know that this Jivatma is a dependent. Dependent on whom? Dependent on air. But we cannot say the word dependent on air in every line or in every case. Suppose a person is hungry and you are giving him food, what will you say? The person is dependent on food. The next day you may get another person at your doorstep. He may say, I am very thirsty. Can you give the same food what you gave to the person who was very hungry the day before yesterday? No. You will have to give him water. So, this person who has come today saying that he is very thirsty is dependent on water. The person who came the previous day saying he was hungry was dependent on food. So, what we are dependent on changes. But the word dependent remains the same. He is dependent on food, he is dependent on water, he is dependent on air. The word dependent is the same. But what we are dependent on changes from situation to situation. It could be food, it could be air, it could be water. So, when I say that somebody is dependent, it means that the Jivatma is dependent on whom? If it is air, then the water will get angry on air. If it is food, then air will get angry with food. So there should be one particular person who is the mixture or in whom all of these reside. Be it food, air, water, everything should reside inside one person so that it will be easy for me to say that this Jivatma is dependent on that person. In Paramatma, all these substances, all these souls rest. So, instead of saying that a Jivatma is dependent on food, a Jivatma inside the body which is dependent on water, the Jivatma which is there inside the body is dependent on air, I can simply say that the Jivatma is dependent on Paramatma. So, Ram represents the Paramatma. He walked in the front. Who walked in the end? Lakshmana, who represents the Jivatma. But there should be someone who bridges this gap. When we say that this side of the river is where one village, people of one village live, and that side of the river is where the other village people live, how can these people of both the villages meet? Unless and until there is a bridge which is built over the river, people cannot meet. Likewise, a Jivatma and a Paramatma need a bridge. They need a setu, somebody who connects, somebody who goes and conveys to Paramatma that this Jivatma is suffering throughout his life. These are the problems that he have. These are the problems he wishes to tell to you. And at the same time, Paramatma needs a person so that he could reply back to Jivatma saying that don't worry, I am there for you. Who's that person? That person is an Acharya. The person is a preceptor or a guru. Now when Ram, who represented Paramatma, walked in the first, and Lakshmana, who represented the Jivatma, walked in the end, somebody needed to connect both. And that was Mata Sita. So she was an Acharya there. That is why in Ramanuja Sampradayam there is a beautiful shlokam. They say, लक्ष्मीनाथ समारंभां नाथयामुन मध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्य पर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरु परम्परां. Lakshminath Samarambham. It is not Vishnu who is the first Acharya. It is the Divya Dampati who are the first Acharya. That is Vishnu, that is Narayan along with Lakshmi. Lakshminath Samarambham. So, Lakshmi, that is Sita who walked in the middle, not only plays the role of an Acharya. She does not only play the role of a preceptor, that is connecting only the two. But she also plays one more role. She is also a part of the Paramatma. That is why you don't say Ram. You generally say Sita Ram, Radha Krishna, Lakshmi Narayan. You never say Narayan Lakshmi, Krishna Radha. You never say Ram Sita. You say Sita Ram. So they constitute a couple, and that couple constitutes the Paramatma. She does multitasking. Besides being a part of the Paramatma, Lakshmi is also an Acharya. So this meaning has been conveyed through this shlokam. Agratah prayayau Ramaha Sita madhye sumadhyama Prishtatastu dhanushpane Lakshmano anujagamaha. Whereas the Tamil poet Kamban gives another beautiful description to the trio who are walking. It seems that all the people, when Kamban says these words, he says all the people wanted to know, but the basic fact is Kamban, the Tamil poet himself, wanted to know as to what was the complexion of Ram. Because in the entire city of Ayodhya, in the entire province of Koshala, there was only one person who was very much different in complexion from all the other people. It was Ram. Because all of them were identifiable under light. Whereas Ram needed especially light to identify him because he was very dark. But people did not know as to what his complexion was. They knew he was dark in complexion. But the word dark can be associated with any color. When we say the color red, we also say the word dark red. When we say green, we say dark green. When we say blue, we say dark blue. So people knew that he was dark, but they did not know dark which color. Then that could be identified only when Ram had to walk under the sun, because he was one of the most pampered princes of King Dasharatha. Since he was the most pampered prince, he never had an opportunity to walk under the sun. He would always walk only in the Raja Bhavanam. So this was the right opportunity for all the poets to write down and put it down in their sheets as to what complexion Ram was. It seems Ram walked in the first, he was in the lead, followed by Sita, finally came Lakshmana. And now the sun's rays reached the complexion, that is the skin of Ram. When it touched the body of Ram, Kamban, the Tamil poet, could easily see as to what color Ram was. Now he had to put it down in the paper. Initially he thought, looking at Ram, Veyyon voli tanmeniyil virijothiyin maraya Poyyo enu idayalodu ilayanodum ponan Mayyo. Mayyo. That is, there is one beautiful shlokam. Ajnana timirandhasya jnana anjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Who is a guru? Who is an acharya? An acharya is a person who removes the ignorance from the eyes of a student and brightens it with knowledge. But to brighten the eyes, you can't use any stick. So he uses a stick, a collyrium brush, which carries the anjanam. Anjanam is something what they in Hindi they call it as kajal, and in South Indian language it is called as mai. That is generally applied to the eyes, especially by the women, so that their sight, the way they see and what they see, becomes more sharp. That is why they use the color black. It's called anjanam. Likewise, anjanam is black in color. Some of the commentators hilariously say, in the city of Ayodhya, if some of the ladies found that the collyrium, that is the anjanam inside their house, was empty, they would go to the kingdom, to the palace of Dasharatha. They would call Ram outside and they would touch their fingers on his skin and used to apply it on their eyes, it seems, because he was so dark. Likewise, What is an anjanam? It is black in color, and it is generally used to improve the eyesight of women. So the complexion of Ram, saying dark which color, was compared to anjanam. Anjanam is black in color. So the Tamil poet Kamban initially thought Ram was dark black in color, because black itself has two things, light black and dark black. Light black, that is people with a complexion of light black, could be seen under the sun, but people who are dark black in color need lots of fire around them, only then people can even look at them. It will be like a new moon night, an Amavasya night. Likewise, the Tamil poet Kamban thought that Ram was dark black in color, jet black. So he says, Mayyo, is he the Anjanam? Then he thought, he must not be dark black in color, because whenever you go to a diamond shop and they show you those diamonds, if they put those diamonds under the light, in one particular angle you can see a blue color. The same diamond when seen from the other angle will give you a green color. And if you see it from the top, it will give you red in color. So you will not know which color it is. Then generally diamond merchants call this a jacker. They say red jacker or a blue jacker or a green jacker. But the Tamil poet Kamban equals Bhagavan to a diamond. In one particular angle, he was able to see the dark black color side of him. As soon as he put that particular color in his paper, he saw Ram from another angle. From another angle, he looked green. So he thought Ram must not be dark black in color, he is dark green in color. When we speak about precious stones, we have Maragadam, we have coral, we have pearl, we have sapphire, we have topaz, we have emerald, we have ruby. Likewise, what is a Maragatam? Maragatam is a beautiful and a very precious gem which is dark green in color. It is not green, it is dark green. It will look like black, but it will be dark green in color. So the poet who initially said, Mayyo, is he black? Then he went, Maragadamo, is he green? Then he finally said, Marikadalo. Whenever you see the beautiful ocean, it never gives you a green or a red color. It gives only a blue color, a beautiful blue color. Then he thought, Marigadalo. Then he is not that fairly complexioned also, because the blue color of the ocean is not dark blue, it is light blue. So from one side he could see dark black, which was like the collyrium, Anjanam. Then he saw the dark green side of him, which was like the Maragadam, which was like the emerald. Then he saw the light blue in him, which was like the ocean. Then he saw the dark grey in him, which was equivalent to that of the clouds which generally appear during rainy season. Malai Mugilo. When somebody asks as to the girl or the boy whom you're going to marry is of which complexion, we should say only one color. We can't say that the boy is green as well as red, as well as blue and as well as black. The person who is asking this question will get confused. Likewise, the poet started with black, then he said green, then he said blue, and finally he said grey. He has included all the colors, only one or two colors are left. Finally he said, Ayyo. This is a word which is used in the South Indian language when people do not know how to describe a particular object. So, and this is also said that this particular word is very inauspicious. It is not a Shubhakaram word. Generally people say in South India that you should never use the word Ayyo. But this poet Kamban was such a Vedic person, he knew every part of how a Kavyam should be written. He knew everything about Valmiki Ramayanam. He knew everything about philosophy and Siddhantam. But how can such a great person use an inauspicious word like Ayyo? That is because when you reach a particular extent in your emotion and spirituality, every inauspicious word will become auspicious. For example, all of you gathered here have been hearing to this Ramayanam discourse for the past so many days. One day when you're going home, somebody asks you, be it your relation or friend, they ask you, every day I find you going to some particular hall. Where are you going to? You may say that we are going and attending a Ramayanam Kalakshepam. We are going and attending a Ramayana discourse. Immediately the person will ask, he won't ask anything about Ramayanam. They will ask, how is the person telling? Now, if you find that the person who's rendering this particular discourse on Ramayana is not doing a great job, you will say, okay. If you find that the discourse is good, you will say good. If you find the discourse very good, you will say very good. But when you find the discourse is outside, it is out of the world, then what will be the word that you will be using? Because the dictionary, English dictionary as of today, it does not have such words. It only has words still very good and excellent. What will you say? Ayyo, he is telling very well. So an inauspicious word becomes auspicious when your emotions reach a particular level. Likewise, this Tamil poet Kamban wanted to have a great experience of the beauty of Bhagavan, which is called Saundaryam and Lavanyam. These are two great qualities of Bhagavan. He wanted to have an anubhavam, an experience of this. And for having an anubhavam, he has to describe. That is the duty of a poet. He started off with the color black, then he continued with green, then he said blue, and finally grey. And then he said, I am not going to take up this task anymore, and ended with the word Ayyo, because the Saundaryam of Bhagavan is so beautiful, it is so indescribable, that a person who is a great Nipunaha, one who is very well versed in a language also, cannot find words to describe the beauty of Ram. வெய்யோன் ஒளி தன்மேனியின் விரிஜோதியில் மறைய பொய்யோ என் விடையானொடும் இளையானொடும் போனானது மெய்யோ மரகதமோ மறிகடலோ மழைமுகிலோ ஐயோ இவன் வடிவு என்பதோர் அழியா அழகு உடையான். Saint Tyagaraja, even he was inspired by the Tamil poet Kamban. The Tamil poet Kamban gave the verse in Tamil, whereas Saint Tyagaraja took up the same task in Telugu. He used the Manipravalam. Manipravalam is, what is money? Money is a precious stone. What is Pravalam in Sanskrit? Pravalam is a coral. You might have seen certain necklaces in the jewellery shop which are full of corals, or they will be full of precious stones. But the beauty will come into picture only when you mix a coral and a stone together. Likewise, when you use two different languages together, Indian languages, for example, Sanskrit and Tamil, or Sanskrit and Telugu, or Sanskrit and Kannada, or Sanskrit and Bengali, or Sanskrit and Marathi. When you use such combinations, two beautiful languages together, and compose a particular composition, that particular language in which you write it is called as Manipravalam. Saint Tyagaraja uses Manipravalam. He mixes Sanskrit and Telugu. So he describes the beautiful complexion of Ram. He compares it to the precious emerald stone which is dark green. Mamavara ghora ma maragada manisha ma mavara ghora ma maragada manisha ma mavara ghora ma maragada manisha ma mavara ghora ma pamara jana bhima pamara jana bhima pamara jana bhima pamara jana bhima palita sutrakama palita sutrakama mavara gurama maragada mani shama mavara gurama rajadipatyaga 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 raja vinuta bhaga raja vinuta bhaga mamavara ghurama maragada manisha mamavara Ramayana.